Madrid was supposed to be work. Then everything fell apart. Part 1. Madrid was supposed to be simple, routine, but the moment we touched down, everything shifted. 7 years of friendship, 7 years of boundaries, and one trip that broke them all. The apartment smelled like Aunt Phoebe's arroz con gandules and something burning, probably the edges of the tostones again. Mona pressed her phone between her shoulder and ear while folding the last of Sarah's school uniforms, the fabric still warm from the dryer. And then Mrs. Patterson said, "I have the best handwriting in the whole 3rd grade." Sarah's voice carried from the kitchen, high and proud. "That's because you actually practice, unlike some people." Misha's response was muffled, probably through a mouthful of food. "Niñas, plates at the table, not in front of the TV." Aunt Phoebe's voice boomed, followed by the shuffle of small feet and dramatic sighs. Mona smiled. Chaos. Beautiful, exhausting chaos. "You still there?" Kyle's voice came through, warm and slightly amused. She could hear Madrid in the background. Distant traffic, someone speaking rapid Spanish, the particular echo of a hotel suite. "I'm here." She tucked the phone more firmly against her shoulder, smoothing wrinkles from a navy blue polo shirt. Her fingers caught on a loose thread, and she made a mental note to fix it before Wednesday. Just multitasking. You're always multitasking. There was affection in his voice, the kind that came from 7 years of working together. "How was day 1? "Good. Really good, actually." She set the shirt down, finally giving him her full attention. Sarah was nervous about her new teacher, but she came home talking about science projects. Misha made 2 new friends before lunch, typical Misha. That kid could make friends in a library. She gets it from Aunt Phoebe. Kyle laughed, that real laugh, not the practiced one he used for cameras. "How is the sassy aunt?" "Currently burning tostones and telling the girls about the time she dated a backup dancer for Tito Puente." She did not. She absolutely did. Twice, apparently. Different decades. Mona moved to her bedroom, the smallest room in the 2-bedroom apartment, just big enough for a full bed and a narrow dresser. The walls were thin. She could hear Misha arguing about whose turn it was to set the table, but it was theirs. Clean, safe, hers. She sat on the edge of the bed, the springs creaking slightly under her weight. Through the window, Los Angeles glowed in the late summer heat, the sun just starting to dip toward the horizon. The light caught on the cross pendant at her throat, the one her father had given her at her quinceañera. She touched it absently, a habit. "You all packed?" Kyle asked. "Almost. Just need to grab my chargers and make sure I didn't forget anything." She'd already checked 3 times, but that was the job. Anticipate, confirm, make sure Kyle never had to think about logistics. "Mona." "Yeah?" "You know everything's set, right? I've got the car service confirmed on my end. The shoot schedule is locked. You don't have to triple check everything." She smiled despite herself. Force of habit. "I know." She heard him move, maybe stepping out onto a balcony. The background noise shifted, more wind, fewer voices. "You didn't have to fly out tonight, you know. You could have waited until tomorrow. And miss your poor attempt at ordering breakfast in Spanish? Absolutely not." "My Spanish is not that bad." "Kyle, you once asked for queso con agua, thinking you'd get cheese and water." "I was tired. You asked for cheese water." He groaned, and she could picture him, leaning against the railing, probably in those gray joggers he wore when he wasn't working, hair tied back because he was between shoots. The image was so clear it made her chest tighten. She pushed the feeling down, buried it where she'd been burying it for 7 years. "The girls gonna be okay without you for 2 weeks?" he asked. "They'll be fine. Aunt Phoebe's got everything covered, and it's not like I'm unreachable." She glanced at the door, heard Aunt Phoebe laughing at something Misha said. "This is my job." "I know, I just..." He stopped, started again. "You're a good mom to them." Her throat tightened. I'm their aunt. You're raising them, he said simply. That's more than a lot of people would do. She didn't trust herself to respond right away. Instead, she stood and moved to her dresser, pulling out the small leather portfolio where she kept her passport and travel documents. Everything was in order. It always was. Kyle, she said finally, her voice steadier than she felt. I'll be there in 12 hours. We'll get your coffee order right, make sure the crew has everything they need, and you'll nail this video shoot like you always do, okay? Okay. Hey, Mona? Yeah? Thanks for... He stopped. Just thanks. You're welcome. She zipped the portfolio closed. Now let me go have dinner with my family before I have to leave them for 2 weeks. Give the girls my best, and tell Aunt Phoebe I want to hear the full Tito Puente story when you get back. Will do. And Mona? Yeah? Text me when you're on the road. I want to know you got to the airport safe. I always do. I know. But I still want to know. She felt it again, that warmth in her chest that she couldn't quite name and definitely couldn't keep. I'll text. Good, he sounded satisfied. Safe flight. Thanks, boss. She hung up before he could respond to that. Boss. The word was a reminder, a boundary, a truth she needed to hold on to. The apartment smelled like home when she stepped back into the hallway. Aunt Phoebe's cooking, the girls' strawberry shampoo, the faint chemical scent of the industrial cleaner she used on the bathroom tiles every Sunday. She'd learned to love that smell. It meant clean. It meant control. It meant she was doing this right. Auntie Mona, Sarah appeared in the kitchen doorway, her school uniform already swapped for purple pajama pants and an oversized t-shirt that said "Science is magic." Aunt Phoebe says you're leaving tonight. I am. She crouched down, eye level with her niece. Sarah had her sister's eyes, dark brown, long lashes, a slight upturn at the corners when she smiled. But I'll call you every day, okay? And I'll bring you back something cool from Spain. Can you bring me a soccer ball? A real Spanish one? I'll see what I can do. Auntie! Misha's voice louder, more demanding. She came barreling around the corner, all elbows and energy. Can you bring me one of those fans? The fancy ones that ladies use? A flamenco fan? Yeah, those. Mona stood, ruffling Misha's hair, natural curls, just like hers used to be before she started straightening it every morning. Before she learned that blending in made life easier. I'll try, but you two need to be good for Aunt Phoebe, okay? Homework done, no TV past 9, and... We know. Misha rolled her eyes, but she was smiling. You tell us every time. Because it's important, every time. Aunt Phoebe appeared from the kitchen, a wooden spoon in one hand, her other hand on her hip. At 65, she moved like she was half that age. Quick, sure, with the kind of energy that came from never sitting still. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek ponytail, silver strands mixing with black, and she wore a tank top that showed off arms still toned from her morning Zumba classes. Stop worrying, mija, Phoebe said, her accent thick, warm, comforting. The girls and I got this. You go take care of that man and his terrible Spanish. Mona felt her cheeks warm. He's my boss, Tia. Phoebe's expression said she didn't believe that for a second. A boss who calls you every day, who schedules around your life, who sends you flowers on Mother's Day every year, even though you're not. Tia, I'm just saying. Phoebe waved the wooden spoon for emphasis. Mira, that man looks at you like you're the only person in the room. Because I'm good at my job. Ay, por favor, mi amor. She waved her hand dismissively. It's because you're you. Phoebe stepped closer, her voice dropping so the girls wouldn't hear. When are you going to let yourself have something for you, not for them, not for work, para ti? Mona's hand went to her necklace again. I have everything I need. Need is not the same as want. Tia, yeah, I'll stop. But her eyes said she wouldn't. Not really. Come eat before your food gets cold. Dinner was loud, the girls talking over each other about school, Aunt Phoebe interrupting with stories about her own childhood in the Bronx, the TV playing in the background because someone had forgotten to turn it off. Mona ate slowly, trying to memorize it. 2 weeks wasn't long, but it felt long when you'd never spent more than 3 days away from them since taking custody. She'd been 27, single, working her way up as an assistant to a rising music star. Her life had been organized, manageable, hers, and then Lucia died. Overdose. Accidental, the coroner said. But Mona knew better. Her sister had been chasing something she'd never find. Approval, love, the feeling of being enough. She'd found men instead. The wrong ones. Always the wrong ones. The twins had been 4. Too young to fully understand death. Old enough to feel the absence. There was no father. Not really. Lucia had named someone, but the DNA test proved otherwise. Just another man who'd used her sister and walked away. So Mona took them. No hesitation, no second thoughts. Kyle had helped her navigate the legal system, paid for lawyers she couldn't afford, never once made her feel like it was an inconvenience. He'd adjusted her schedule, her pay, her benefits. He'd shown up to the custody hearing, sitting in the back row like a silent promise. You're not alone. That was 3 years ago. She looked at Sarah and Misha now, older, taller, hers, and felt the familiar weight of love mixed with fear. She was responsible for them, their safety, their happiness, their futures. She couldn't afford to mess this up, not for anyone. The Blacktown car smelled like leather and something faintly chemical, the air freshener they used to mask the scent of 1,000 passengers. Mona settled into the back seat, her carry-on beside her, her phone already in her hand. The driver greeted her in accented English. She responded in Spanish and his whole face lit up. They chatted for the first 5 minutes, where he was from, Guatemala, how long he'd been in LA, 8 years, whether he missed home, every day. Then her phone buzzed. Kyle, you on the road? She smiled. Mona. Just left. Driver's name is Carlos. He's from Guatemala City. Kyle, you already made friends with the driver, didn't you? Mona. It's called being polite. Kyle, it's called being you. She felt her cheeks warm and was grateful he couldn't see her. The car merged onto the freeway, Los Angeles spreading out around them, lights and traffic, and the constant hum of movement. She cracked the window slightly, letting in the warm night air. Her phone rang. You know we can just text, she said, instead of hello. I know, but I wanted to hear your voice. Kyle's voice came through clear, no background noise now. He must be in his room. Besides, you've got an hour drive. I'm bored. You're in Madrid. And you're not here yet, so I'm bored. She laughed despite herself. What am I, your entertainment? Always have been. He said it lightly, but something in his tone made her chest tighten again. She ignored it. How's the hotel? Ridiculous. Like, unnecessarily fancy. The bathroom has heated floors. And you're complaining about heated floors? I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a lot. Welcome to being a music star. Yeah. She heard him moving. The rustle of fabric. Probably getting into bed. How were the girls at drop-off this morning? You didn't get to tell me. Mona settled deeper into the seat, watching Los Angeles blur past the window. Sarah cried a little, nervous about the new teacher, but Misha grabbed her hand and said, "We got this," and Sarah stopped crying. Those kids are lucky to have each other. They are. A pause. I'm lucky to have them. They're lucky to have you too. His voice was quieter now. You gave up a lot for them. I didn't give up anything. She said it automatically, the same way she always did when people brought it up. I made a choice. A choice that cost you. Kyle. I'm not judging, Mona. I'm just... He stopped. Started again. I'm saying I see it. What you do. You're doing something incredible with them. And I don't think you hear that enough. Her throat felt tight. She touched her necklace, the cool metal grounding her. I hear it. From who? The girls don't know any different. They think everyone's aunt would do what you did. Any decent person would. No. His voice was firm. They wouldn't. Most people would have found a way to make it someone else's problem. You made it yours. She didn't know what to say to that, didn't trust herself to respond without her voice breaking, so she changed the subject. Tell me about TJ. The silence that followed was weighted. What about him? Kyle's tone had shifted. Careful now. He texted me earlier. Wanted to know if I was free Thursday night when I get back. And I said maybe. Depends on how behind we are after 2 weeks in Madrid. She watched streetlights strobe past. That'll be 3 dates. You counting? He is. Another pause. She could feel him choosing his words. You like him? He asked finally. Did she? TJ was nice, respectful. He didn't treat her like she was invisible, which was more than most men in their world did. He'd asked about the girls, remembered their names, seemed genuinely interested in her life outside of work. But when she thought about him, she felt nothing, no flutter, no warmth, just a vague sense of obligation because he was trying, and she didn't want to be rude. He's nice, she said. That's not what I asked. I don't know him well enough to like him yet, but you're going out with him again. Because that's how dating works, Kyle. You go out, you get to know someone, you see if there's something there. And is there? She frowned. Why do you sound like that? Like what? Like you're interrogating me. I'm not... He stopped. She heard him exhale. Sorry, I just want to make sure he's treating you right. He is. Good. But he didn't sound like it was good. He sounded frustrated. The car slowed for traffic, brake lights glowing red ahead of them. Mona leaned her head against the window, the cool glass against her forehead. Her reflection stared back at her, straight black hair pulled into a low ponytail, minimal makeup, the kind of face people looked past. She'd made peace with that years ago. Kyle? Yeah. Why does it matter? Why does what matter? TJ, whether I like him or not, whether I'm going out with him again. The pause stretched long enough that she checked to make sure the call hadn't dropped. Because you deserve someone good, he said finally. And I've known TJ a long time. He's my friend. But he's used to a certain kind of woman. And I'm not that kind of woman? No, you're not. He said it like a compliment, but she felt the weight of it anyway. Different, other, not enough. I need to go, she said abruptly. We're almost at the airport. Mona, I'll text you when I'm through security. Wait. She hung up. The phone rang again immediately. She silenced it. Carlos glanced at her in the rearview mirror but didn't say anything. Smart man. Her phone buzzed with a text. Kyle, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. She didn't respond. Kyle, you're perfect. You know that, right? Any guy would be lucky to have you. Her chest ached. Kyle, Mona, please don't be mad at me. She typed back slowly. Mona, I'm not mad, just tired. Long day. I'll call you from the plane. Kyle, promise? Mona, promise. She slipped the phone into her bag and watched LAX appear on the horizon, lights and planes and the organized chaos of people going somewhere else. 2 weeks. She could do 2 weeks. The first-class cabin smelled like expensive leather and someone's too strong perfume. Mona settled into her seat, window, because Kyle knew she liked to watch the takeoff, and immediately pulled out her laptop. Work. That was safe. That was manageable. She reviewed the Madrid itinerary for the 15th time. Video shoot locations, crew call times, hotel details, local contact numbers. Everything was confirmed. Everything was perfect. Her phone buzzed. Kyle, you at the gate? Mona, boarding now. Kyle, good. Get some sleep on the flight. You're gonna need it. Mona, yes, Dad. Kyle, I'm serious. You run on like 4 hours of sleep and then crash by day 3. I've seen it happen. She smiled despite herself. Mona, I'll sleep. Promise. Kyle, thank you. Now put your phone away before the flight attendant yells at you. She did. The plane lifted off smoothly, Los Angeles disappearing beneath them. Mona watched the city shrink. All those lives, all that chaos, all those people who had no idea she existed. It was strangely comforting. Once they leveled out, her phone buzzed again. She'd paid for Wi-Fi. Of course she had. Kyle. How's first class? Mona. Fancy. They gave me warm nuts. Kyle. Living the dream. Mona. Your dream. I would have been fine in coach. Kyle. I know, but I'm not fine with you in coach. She didn't know how to respond to that, so she changed the subject. Mona. Girls are probably asleep by now. Kyle. Good. That means you can actually relax. Mona. I am relaxed. Kyle. You're working, aren't you? Mona. Maybe. Kyle. Mona. Mona. It's just emails. Kyle. Close the laptop. Mona. I have 3 more to... Kyle. Close. The laptop. She sighed, but she did it. Slid it back into her bag. Mona. Happy? Kyle. Thrilled. Now talk to me. Mona. About what? Kyle. Anything. Everything. Whatever you want. So she did. They texted for an hour. About the girls, about Madrid, about Aunt Phoebe's latest Zumba class disaster. She'd kicked too high and pulled a muscle. Normal things. Easy things. And then? Kyle. TJ texted me. Mona's stomach dropped. Mona. About what? Kyle. You. He wanted to know if you were seeing anyone else. Mona. What did you tell him? Kyle. The truth. That I don't know your personal life. Mona. Kyle. You know everything about my personal life. Kyle. Yeah. But he doesn't need to know that. She frowned at her phone. Mona. Are you being weird about this? Kyle. No. Mona. You are. You're absolutely being weird. Kyle. I'm not. Mona. Kyle? Kyle. Fine. Maybe I am. A little. Mona. Why, Kyle? Because he's my friend and you're important to me, and I don't want either of you to get hurt. My what? She wanted to ask. My employee? My assistant? My friend? Instead, she typed, Mona, I'm a grown woman. I can handle myself. Kyle. I know that. Mona. Then trust me to make my own decisions. Kyle. I do. Mona. Then let me. Kyle. You're right. I'm sorry. Again. I'm apparently really good at apologizing to you tonight. Mona. You are. Kyle. Forgiven? Mona. Always. The flight attendant announced that the cabin lights would be dimming for sleep. Mona adjusted her seat, pulled the thin blanket over her lap. Mona. I'm going to try to sleep now. Kyle. Good. See you in a few hours. Mona. Night, Kyle. Kyle. Night, Mona. She closed her eyes, but sleep didn't come easy. Instead, she lay there in the dark, 30,000 feet above the Atlantic, thinking about the way Kyle's voice had sounded on the phone, the way he kept circling back to TJ, the way he'd said, "You're important to me," like it meant something more than boss and employee. She couldn't let herself go there. Wouldn't let herself go there. This job was everything. It paid for the apartment, the girls' school, Aunt Phoebe's healthcare, the life she'd built from nothing. She'd seen too many women in this industry lose everything because they forgot why they were there. She wouldn't be one of them. Eventually, exhaustion pulled her under. She slept in fits and starts, waking when the plane hit turbulence, when someone walked past, when her own thoughts got too loud. When she woke for the last time, sun was streaming through the window. Europe below, Madrid waiting. And Kyle, somewhere in that city, waiting too. Madrid smelled different. That was Mona's first thought as she stepped out of the airport into the early morning heat. Different than LA. Older, warmer, like sun-baked stone and diesel, and something sweet she couldn't quite place. She'd only been to Europe once before, a quick trip to London for an awards show when Kyle was first blowing up. But Madrid felt different, more alive. Her phone buzzed before she even made it to the waiting car. Kyle, you land? Mona just walked outside. Kyle, how do you feel? Mona, like I've been on a plane for 11 hours. Kyle, so amazing? Mona, absolutely amazing. Kyle, the driver's waiting. I told him to get you coffee before the hotel. Mona, you told him in Spanish? Kyle, I told him in English, and he nodded, so I'm choosing to believe he understood. She laughed, actually laughed. Her exhaustion temporarily forgotten. The driver was exactly where Kyle said he'd be, an older man with kind eyes holding a sign with her name. He greeted her in rapid Spanish, took her bag before she could protest, and ushered her into a sleek black Mercedes. The coffee appeared 5 minutes later, proper Spanish coffee, strong and sweet and served in a small cup. She sipped it slowly, watching Madrid wake up around her. The city was beautiful, all narrow streets and golden buildings and wrought iron balconies with flowers spilling over the edges. People moved differently here, slower, like they had time. She watched an old woman watering plants on her balcony, a teenager on a scooter weaving through traffic, a couple walking hand in hand. She felt suddenly, achingly lonely. Her phone rang. You okay? Kyle asked before she could say hello. I'm fine, just tired. Liar, what's wrong? She should have known better than to try to hide from him. 7 years meant he knew her tells. The slight hesitation in her voice, the way she said fine when she meant anything but. It's nothing, she said. Just long flight, strange city, you know. You missing the girls? Yeah. It wasn't a lie. She did miss them, but that wasn't what was making her chest feel tight. Call them when you get to the hotel. They should be getting ready for school soon. What time does Phoebe get them up? 7, so in about 3 hours from now. She did the mental math. 9-hour time difference. Currently 4 a.m. in LA. Good. And Mona? Yeah? I'm glad you're here. Her throat felt tight. Me too. The hotel was ridiculous. Kyle hadn't been exaggerating. All marble and gold and floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the city. The lobby smelled like fresh flowers and money. Mona felt out of place immediately. But the staff greeted her by name, whisked her up to her room, 2 floors below Kyle's suite, and disappeared before she could even think about tipping. The room was beautiful. King bed, sitting area, a bathroom bigger than her bedroom back home. She dropped her bag by the door and stood at the window, looking out at Madrid in the early morning light. Her phone buzzed. Kyle, you at the hotel? Mona, yes. Kyle, good, get settled. I'll come down in an hour, and we'll get breakfast before the crew arrives. Mona, you don't have to come down. I can meet you. Kyle, I know, but I want to. She stared at that message for a long moment. Mona, okay, give me 45 minutes to shower and change. Kyle, take your time. I'll be here. She showered quickly. The water pressure was amazing, the towels ridiculously soft, and changed into work clothes, black jeans, a simple white blouse, comfortable flats. She pulled her hair back into its usual low ponytail, applied minimal makeup, professional, invisible, safe. Her phone rang just as she was slipping on her cross necklace. Auntie Mona, Misha's voice exploded through the speaker. Are you in Spain? I am. She smiled, the sound of her niece's voice loosening something in her chest. Are you girls getting ready for school? Yeah, Aunt Phoebe's making us breakfast, but I wanted to call you first. What are you excited about today, my love? We have art class. I think I'm going to paint Aunt Phoebe doing Zumba. I can't wait to see it when I get home. Sarah said she will paint you, Misha continued, without pausing for breath. On the airplane flying to see Mr. Kyle, Mona's chest tightened. Can I talk to her? She's brushing her teeth. Hold on. Fumbling sounds then. Sarah, Auntie Mona's on the phone. More fumbling, then Sarah's quieter voice. Hi, Auntie. Hi, baby. You getting ready for school? Yeah, Aunt Phoebe's making pancakes. Lucky you. What are you excited about today? Science. Mrs. Patterson said we're starting our projects. That sounds fun. When are you coming home? 2 weeks. But I'll call you every day, okay? Okay. I miss you. I miss you too, baby. So much. But you've got Aunt Phoebe, and you've got Misha, and you're going to have so much fun you won't even notice I'm gone. I'll notice. Mona's throat burned. I know, baby, but I'll be home before you know it. And I'm bringing you a real Spanish soccer ball, remember? And me a fancy fan, Misha yelled in the background. And you a fancy fan, Mona confirmed, smiling through the ache. Aunt Phoebe's voice came through further away. Girls, let Auntie Mona go. She's got work to do. Listen to Tia, okay? I love you both. Love you too. They said it in unison. Then the phone fumbled again, and Aunt Phoebe was on the line. They're fine, mija, Phoebe said. Stop worrying. I'm not worrying. You're always worrying. It's like breathing for you. Affection in her voice. Go take care of that man and have a little fun while you're at it. You're in Spain. Do something for yourself. I'm here for work, Tia. Work, work, work. Ay, mi amor, you work too much. Mona could hear that her aunt was about to go in, so she put the phone on speaker and continued putting her necklace on. And right on cue, Phoebe continued. You're 30 years old, Mona. When are you going to? Lo siento, tia, but I have to go. Kyle's waiting. Of course he is, that tone again. Tell him I said hello. I will. Love you. Love you more. She hung up and stood there for a moment, letting the silence settle. Then she grabbed her bag, laptop, notebook, pens, hotel information, crew contact list, and headed for the door. Kyle was waiting in the lobby when she stepped out of the elevator. He looked good. Too good. Gray t-shirt, black jeans, his hair down around his shoulders. He'd showered recently. She could smell his cologne from 10 feet away, cedar and something warm. He smiled when he saw her, that real smile, and stood. You look tired, he said. Thanks? I meant it as an observation, not an insult. He fell into step beside her as they headed for the hotel restaurant. You actually sleep on the plane? A little. Liar. I slept. For how long? 5 hours. Mona. What? That's more than I usually get. He sighed, but he was smiling. Come on, let's get you some more coffee and actual food. The restaurant was nearly empty, too early for most guests. They were seated at a table by the window, sunlight streaming in, Madrid waking up outside. Kyle ordered in English. The waiter nodded politely, but Mona caught the slight confusion. Café con leche y tostadas con tomate, por favor, she added in Spanish, and the waiter's face cleared. And whatever she said, Kyle added, for me too. The waiter disappeared. Kyle looked at her. What did you order? Coffee with milk and toast with tomato. It's a Spanish thing. You'll like it. I trust you. Those 3 words felt heavier than they should. They talked work while they waited. The video shoot schedule, the crew, the locations. Mona pulled out her notebook, confirming details, making sure Kyle knew what was happening when. You've got hair and makeup at noon, she said. First location is at 3. We're shooting the club scene today. The one with the dancers? Yep. You gonna watch? I always watch. I know, He trailed off. I like when you're there. She looked up from her notebook. He was watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Kyle. Yeah. Are you okay? You've been, I don't know, off since yesterday. I'm fine. Now who's lying? He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Just tired, and I missed you. Is that allowed? We talk every day. It's not the same. The food arrived before she could respond. Thick slices of toasted bread rubbed with tomato, olive oil glistening on top, and café con leche in wide cups. The smell was incredible. Yeasty bread, sweet tomato, bitter coffee. Kyle took a bite, and his eyebrows shot up. Okay, this is amazing. Told you. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then, how's TJ? Mona nearly choked on her coffee. What? TJ, how's he doing? I don't know, he's your friend. But you're going out with him. I went out with him. Twice. That doesn't mean I have updates on his life. Kyle set his coffee down carefully. He really likes you. You said that. I mean it. He's not. This isn't a game for him, Mona. He's serious. And that's bad because it's not bad, it's just. He stopped, jaw clenching. Do you like him? Kyle, just answer the question. She set her own coffee down, meeting his eyes. Why does it matter so much to you? Because you're. He stopped, started again. Because I don't want you to settle. Settle? Yeah. I don't want you to go out with him just because he asked, or because you think you should be dating, or because everyone expects you to have a relationship. That's not, isn't it? His voice was quieter now. You give everything to everyone else, Mona. The girls, Phoebe, your job, me. When was the last time you did something just because you wanted to? Her chest felt tight. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. They stared at each other across the table. The restaurant had filled up around them. Tourists and business travelers and people who had no idea they were watching something shift. Remember, I told you he asked me out for Thursday, Mona said finally. When we get back. Right, so what did you say? I said maybe. That's not a yes. It's not a no either. Kyle leaned back in his chair, something unreadable in his expression. Do you want it to be a yes? She didn't answer, couldn't answer, because the truth was sitting right in front of her, and she'd spent 7 years learning not to look at it. We should go, she said instead, standing abruptly. You have an 11 o'clock with the director. Kyle didn't move. Mona. Kyle, we have to go. He stood slowly, leaving cash on the table, even though everything was already charged to the room. Old habit, generous habit. They walked back through the lobby in silence. At the elevator, Kyle hit the button for his floor. I'll text you when I'm heading down, she said, her voice carefully professional. Sounds good. And Mona? Yeah? I'm sorry. Again, I don't know why I keep... He stopped. I'm sorry. The elevator doors opened. He stepped in. Kyle, she said, just before the doors closed. Yeah? You're not off. You're just different. Different how? But the doors slid shut before she could answer. Good, because she didn't know how to explain that he was looking at her like she was something precious instead of practical. Like she was someone worth keeping instead of someone paid to stay. And she definitely didn't know how to explain that it scared her, because for the first time in 7 years, she wanted to look back. The club was dark even in daylight, windows blacked out, lights rigged to simulate night, the air thick with artificial fog and the chemical smell of stage smoke. Mona stood off to the side, clipboard in hand, watching the chaos organize itself into something usable. Kyle was in the center of it all. He wore black jeans, t-shirt, leather jacket, and moved through the choreography like he'd been born doing it. Dancers flanked him, all long legs and sharp movements, but Mona's eyes kept returning to him. The way his jaw clenched when he concentrated, the way his hands moved, the controlled power in every gesture. She forced herself to look away, focusing on her clipboard instead. He's good, no? A voice beside her. The director, Miguel, mid-50s, Spanish accent thick, but his English perfect. Very natural on camera. He is, professional, neutral. You've worked with him long time, yes? 7 years. Ah, so you see everything. Miguel smiled. The real man, not the star. Mona didn't respond, kept her eyes on the monitor, showing what the camera saw. Kyle's face, close up, emotion playing across his features as he lip-synced to the track. "He talks about you," Miguel continued. "Says you are the one who keeps him, how do you say, grounded. I just do my job." I think is more than job." Miguel's eyes were knowing. "But maybe you don't see yet." "Miguel," the cinematographer called something in Spanish. Miguel excused himself, leaving Mona alone with her thoughts and the uncomfortable truth that even strangers could see what she was trying not to. The shoot went long, it always did. What should have taken 4 hours stretched to 6. By the time Miguel called wrap, the sun had set outside, and Mona's feet ached in her flats. Kyle found her immediately. "You eat yet?" he asked, pulling off the leather jacket and handing it to a PA. "I'm fine." "That's not what I asked." "I had a protein bar around 3 p.m. "Mona." He looked at her, really looked at her. "When's the last time you sat down?" "I'm fine, Kyle. This is my job." "Your job is to keep me on schedule and make sure everything runs smooth," which you did, perfectly, like always. He grabbed his own bag from the corner. "Now, your job is to come have dinner with me, because I'm starving and I don't want to eat alone." "Kyle, please," he softened his voice. "I'm tired. You're tired. Let's just get food and decompress, okay?" She should say no. Should go back to her room, call the girls, do the 100 small things that always needed doing. But she was hungry and tired. And the thought of sitting alone in her hotel room while Kyle sat alone in his felt wrong somehow. "Okay," she heard herself say, "but somewhere low-key, not fancy." "Deal." They ended up at a tiny tapas place 3 blocks from the hotel, the kind of place you'd walk past without noticing if you didn't know to look. Kyle had found it on his walk yesterday, he explained, and the owner had recognized him but pretended not to, which Kyle appreciated. Inside, it smelled like olive oil and garlic and wine. Dark wood tables, exposed brick, candles providing more atmosphere than actual light. They were seated in the back corner, private enough that no one would bother them. Kyle ordered in terrible Spanish. The waiter smiled patiently, then looked at Mona. She ordered for both of them, patatas bravas, gambas al ajillo, jamón ibérico, pan con tomate, her Spanish flowing easy and natural. Kyle watched her the entire time. "What?" she asked when the waiter left. "Nothing, just... I forget sometimes that you're fluent." "My stepmother made sure I was." Something flickered across his face. "You never talk about her." "Not much to talk about." "Mona?" She sighed, leaning back in her chair. The wood creaked slightly under her weight. "What do you want to know?" "Whatever you want to tell me." The wine arrived, red, Spanish, probably too expensive. Kyle poured for both of them without asking. Mona took a sip, letting the warmth spread through her chest. "She married my dad 2 years after my mom died. I was 6, she said finally. My mom, my real mom, was black. She and Aunt Phoebe were best friends, inseparable. Naturally, my dad met her while being around Phoebe all the time, and he said it was love at first sight. She was 15, and he was 17. High school sweethearts." She paused, took another sip of wine. "I grew up speaking English. My dad would throw in Spanish words of endearment here and there, and Aunt Phoebe spoke more Spanish to me, but mostly I was just American, regular kid." She stopped and looked off into the distance. "Then everything changed when my mom died in a car accident when I was 4. Some crazy person ran a red light. And my dad, he was destroyed, just completely raw." Her voice cracked a bit, but she held it together. Kyle's hand tightened slightly on his glass. "I'm so sorry." Kyle's voice was quiet. She nodded, eyes stinging. Then, he met Rosa 2 years later. She was young, pretty, Dominican. Exactly what a grieving man needed, or thought he needed. And suddenly Spanish wasn't optional anymore. It was mandatory, when he wasn't around. She could speak English, though it was very broken, and she would try when she was around other people, especially my dad. But when it was just me and her, She refused to speak English to me, forcing me to learn. I was 6 years old, trying to figure out why my new mother hated me in a language I barely understood. Did you tell him? No. Mona took another sip of wine. He needed her. I could see it. The way he looked at her like she was light and he'd been in the dark too long. I wasn't going to take that away from him. So you just endured it? I survived it. There's a difference. The food started arriving, small plates, beautiful presentations, the smell incredible. And then Lucia was born when I was 9, and everything changed. Changed how? She loved Lucia. Genuinely, completely loved her. And my dad loved them both. They were this perfect little unit. Mona picked up a piece of jamon, the meat paper thin and glistening. And I was just there, part of the furniture. Mona, it's okay, really. She ate the ham, letting the salt and fat coat her tongue. Aunt Phoebe saw it. She lived in the Bronx, and we lived in Providence. But she'd visit, and she'd see how things were. She started taking me for summers, weekends, whenever she could. She would even call out Rosa on her crap. She saved you. Yes, she showed me I was important. Mona's throat felt tight. That I wasn't invisible just because my stepmother wanted me to be. Kyle reached across the table, his hand covering hers. His palm was warm, rough with calluses from guitar strings. You're not invisible. I know. Do you? His thumb brushed across her knuckles. Because sometimes I think you've gotten so good at making yourself small that you forgot you don't have to. She pulled her hand back, needing the distance. This is heavy for dinner conversation. You brought it up. You asked, because I wanted to know. He leaned back, giving her space. 7 years, Mona. And I'm just now learning about your stepmother, your dad. Why you learned Spanish. Don't you think that's sad? We talk all the time. About work, about the girls, about my life, but never about you. There's not much to tell. Really. He said it gently, but firmly. You took in your sister's kids. You work yourself to exhaustion. You speak 3 languages. 2. You speak Spanish and English fluently, and I've heard you do basic French. That's not... You're incredible, Mona, and you act like you're background noise. Her chest felt too tight. She picked up her wine glass, needing something to do with her hands. Can we talk about something else? Like what? Like your video shoot, like Madrid, like literally anything else. Kyle watched her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. Teach me some basic Spanish. She did. Grateful for the shift, she walked him through the basics. Spanish 101 essentials. How to introduce yourself, ask for the bathroom, the all-important please, and thank you. The phrases he already knew came easily, delivered with exaggerated confidence that made her laugh. But the new ones? He leaned forward, listening intently, his brow furrowing in concentration as he tried to wrap his mouth around the unfamiliar sounds. His pronunciation was terrible, vowels too flat, consonants too hard, and every failed attempt made them both laugh harder. The food kept coming. They ate slowly, sharing plates, the evening stretching out around them in that comfortable way that made time feel irrelevant. How do you say, "This is amazing"? He asked, around a mouthful of patatas bravas. Esto es increíble. He repeated it, the accent all wrong. Esto es. How do you make that rolling sound? You don't. Your tongue is too American. My tongue is very capable, thank you. She snorted into her wine. Sure it is. Hey, I've never had complaints. I'm not touching that. Probably wise. He grinned, and something in her chest loosened. This was easy. This was them, the friendship underneath the job, the connection that made the last 7 years feel less like work and more like something else. They stayed until the restaurant started emptying out, until the owner came by to chat and Kyle bought a bottle of wine to go even though neither of them needed it. The walk back to the hotel was quiet. Madrid at night was beautiful, all lit windows and distant music and the sound of people living their lives. Mona's phone buzzed. TJ, how's Spain? She stared at the message, thumb hovering over the keyboard. TJ? Kyle asked, too casually. Yeah. You gonna respond? Eventually. What's he want? To know how Spain is. She pocketed her phone. Kyle's jaw clenched, but he didn't say anything. They walked the rest of the way in silence. At the hotel, they both stopped at the elevator. Kyle hit the button. Thanks for dinner, Mona said. Thanks for coming. Thanks for ordering that wine I won't drink. You'll drink it. Probably tomorrow night when you're stressed about the second location. She smiled despite herself. Probably. The elevator arrived. They stepped in. Kyle hit buttons for both their floors. Kyle, yeah? Tonight was nice. Just nice? Really nice. He smiled, but something was off in it. Good. We should do it again. We eat together all the time. I know, but tonight felt different. The elevator stopped at her floor. The doors opened. Mona stepped out, then turned back. Kyle was watching her with that expression again, the one she couldn't quite read, the one that made her chest feel tight. Different how? She asked. I don't know yet. He leaned against the elevator door to keep it from closing. But I'm figuring it out. Kyle. Good night, Mona. The door slid shut before she could respond. She stood there in the empty hallway for a long moment, heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with the wine. Then she went to her room, closed the door, and leaned against it. Her phone buzzed again. TJ, you there? She typed back slowly. Mona, sorry, long day. Spain is beautiful. TJ, I bet. Missing you here. Mona, we've only been on 2 dates, TJ. TJ, I know, but I'm still missing you. She didn't know what to say to that, didn't know how to explain that. When he said he missed her, she felt nothing. But when Kyle looked at her across a dinner table, she felt everything. Mona, I should get some sleep. Jet lag is hitting. TJ, sure. Talk tomorrow? Mona, sure. She set her phone down and stared at the ceiling. 2 weeks. She could survive 2 weeks. By day 4, they'd fallen into a rhythm. Kyle would shoot during the day, different locations, different setups, the constant organized chaos of a music video production. Mona would coordinate everything, confirm call times, manage the crew, make sure Kyle had what he needed when he needed it. Professional, efficient, exactly what she was paid to do. But at night, the boundaries blurred. They'd have dinner together, sometimes at the hotel, sometimes at small restaurants Mona found by asking locals in Spanish. They'd talk for hours, not about work, but about everything else. Kyle told her about growing up in Atlanta, about his first guitar, about the teacher who'd believed in him when no one else did. Mona told him about her mom, the parts she still remembered, the smell of her perfume, the way she'd sing while cooking, the stories she'd tell about North Carolina, where she'd grown up before her family moved to New York when she was 13. She smiled. Her accent was so pretty. Kyle smiled with her. On the 4th night, they were at the hotel bar, drinks neither of them was really drinking, sitting between them. The conversation had wandered through safe topics. The shoot, Madrid, the girls' latest school updates, before landing somewhere heavier. You know what? I didn't even hate Rosa for how she mistreated me. Mona twisted her napkin, the paper tearing slightly under her fingers. Kyle waited, his eyes steady on hers. I hated her because she made him forget my mom. Her voice dropped lower. She made him happy, and I couldn't. I was this living reminder of what he'd lost, and she was this promise of something new, something that didn't hurt to look at every morning. Mona, that's not... It is, though. She looked up at him, eyes bright but controlled. Every time he looked at me, he saw her. I have her face, Kyle, her eyes, her smile, and it broke something in him every single time. Rosa didn't do that. She was safe. So you made yourself small. I made myself easy. No demands, no drama, no trouble. Just there when needed and gone when not. And you're still doing it. Kyle leaned forward. Making yourself easy. Making yourself small. With everyone. It works. Does it? She didn't answer. The bar was mostly empty. A few tourists, a couple on their honeymoon, the soft clink of glasses and low murmur of conversation. Mona felt exposed suddenly, like she'd revealed too much. I should go, she said, standing. Early call time tomorrow. Mona, wait. Good night, Kyle. She was halfway to the elevator when he caught up to her. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't mean to push. You didn't. Then why are you running? I'm not running. I'm going to bed. Same thing. She stopped, turning to face him. What do you want from me, Kyle? The truth. About what? About why you're so afraid to take up space. His eyes were dark, intense. About why you settle for less than you deserve. About why you're going out with a guy you don't even like. I never said I didn't like TJ. You didn't have to. They stared at each other in the hotel lobby. Somewhere, a phone rang. The elevator dinged. Life kept moving around them. He's nice, Mona said finally. That's not enough. It's more than most people get. Not you. You deserve someone who makes you feel. He stopped. Someone who really knows you. And TJ doesn't? I don't know. Does he? She wanted to say yes. Wanted to defend TJ, defend her choices, defend the safe path she'd been walking for 30 years. But standing there, with Kyle looking at her like she was the only person in the world, she couldn't lie. I don't know, she whispered. Kyle stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, cedar, and something warm, something that made her want to lean in. Close enough that she could see the muscle jumping in his jaw, the way his hands were fisted at his sides like he was fighting not to reach for her. Mona, he said, his voice rough, I have to tell you something. Her heart hammered. Don't. Why not? Because I can't. Her voice broke. Kyle, please, don't. Don't what? Don't make this complicated. What if it's already complicated? Then we pretend it's not. She took a step back, needing distance. You're my boss. I'm your employee. That's all this can be. That's not all we are, and you know it. It has to be. Why? Because I can't lose this job. The words came out louder than she meant them to. I can't lose this life. The girls, the apartment, the stability. I can't risk it for what? He stepped closer again. For feelings? For something real? For something that will end. Her chest ached. This industry, Kyle. I've seen what happens to women who forget their place, who think they're special, who believe the illusion. This isn't an illusion. Isn't it? She felt tears burning behind her eyes and hated herself for it. You're a star. I'm your assistant. That's reality. No. Reality is that I think about you constantly. Reality is that I schedule my life around yours. Reality is that when TJ told me he was going to ask you out, I wanted to punch him. Her breath caught. Reality is that I've been in love with you for I don't even know how long, Kyle continued, his voice raw. And I've been too scared to say anything because I knew you'd do exactly this. You'd make yourself small and convince yourself you don't deserve it. Kyle, you deserve everything, Mona. Everything. Someone who knows how incredible you are. Someone who appreciates every single thing you do. Someone who understands that you're not background noise or easy or small. You're everything. She looked away, blinking hard against the sting behind her eyes. But the tears came anyway, hot and unwanted, sliding down her cheeks. She swiped at them roughly, angry at herself for breaking. I can't, she whispered. Can't or won't. Both, He flinched like she'd hit him. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, but I can't risk this. I can't risk them. Please understand." "I do understand. That's the problem." He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "You're so busy protecting everyone else that you won't let yourself have anything. That's not fair." "Maybe not, but it's true." They stood there in the empty lobby, the distance between them feeling like miles. "I should go," Mona said finally. "Yeah, you should." She turned toward the elevator, her whole body feeling heavy. "Mona." She stopped but didn't turn around. "I meant it," Kyle said quietly. "All of it. And I'm not going to pretend I didn't, not anymore." She didn't respond, just walked to the elevator, pressed the button, stepped inside. The doors closed on Kyle's face, raw and hurt and real. In her room, Mona collapsed on the bed and let herself cry. Really cry. Messy, ugly. The kind of crying that left her face blotchy and her chest aching. Because he was right. About all of it. And she was terrified. The next 3 days were professional hell. Not because anything went wrong with the shoot. Everything went perfectly. Mona made sure of it. But because Kyle was different. Not cold, exactly. Just distant. Polite. He said good morning and asked about call times and thanked her for her work. But the warmth was gone. The easy banter. The late-night conversations. He ate dinner alone. Answered her texts but didn't call. Kept exactly the right amount of space between them at all times. It was what she'd asked for. It was killing her. On day 6, TJ called while she was reviewing the next day's schedule. "Hey, beautiful," he said when she answered. "How's Spain treating you?" "Fine, busy." She forced brightness into her voice. "How are things there?" "Lonely without you." He laughed, but she could hear he meant it. "I've been thinking about you a lot." "Yeah?" "Yeah, about that third date when you get back. I was thinking maybe we could make it official, you and me." Her stomach dropped. "Official?" "I mean, I know it's fast, but I'm not really a casual dating guy, Mona. And you're not a casual dating girl. So if we're doing this, I want to do it right." She sat down on the bed, her legs suddenly weak. "TJ, You don't have to answer now. Just think about it, okay? We'll talk when you're home." "Okay," she heard herself say. "I'll think about it." They talked for a few more minutes, surface things, easy things, and then hung up. Mona stared at her phone. This was good. TJ was good. He was stable and kind and genuinely interested in her life. He didn't make her feel small. He saw the girls as an asset, not a burden. He was exactly the kind of man she should want. So why did the thought of being his girlfriend make her feel nothing? Her phone buzzed. "Aunt Phoebe. How's my favorite niece?" "Mona. I'm your only niece. Aunt Phoebe. Still my favorite. You okay? You sound sad in your voicemails." "Mona. I'm fine. Just tired." "Aunt Phoebe, Mona Lisa, Isabela Rodriguez, no le mientas a tu tía." Mona smiled despite herself. "Mona. Es complicado, tía. Aunt Phoebe. Is it Kyle?" Her heart stopped. "Mona. What?" "Aunt Phoebe, no te hagas la pendeja conmigo, mija. I've seen how that man looks at you. How you look at him when you think no one's watching." "Mona. He's my boss." "Aunt Phoebe. Es un hombre enamorado de ti." "Mona. Tía." "Aunt Phoebe. And you're a woman in love with him." "Yes?" Mona didn't respond. Couldn't respond. Because saying it out loud would make it real, and making it real would mean she had to do something about it. "Aunt Phoebe, mira, mija. I know you're scared. I know you've built this life on being careful and making sure everyone else is taken care of first. But you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved." "Mona, I have that. I have the girls. I have you. I have Aunt Phoebe. That's not the same and you know it." "Mona, I can't risk everything for feelings." "Aunt Phoebe. What if the bigger risk is never trying?" Mona stared at that message for a long time. "Mona, TJ wants to make things official. Aunt Phoebe. Do you want that? Mona, I should want that, Aunt Phoebe. That's not what I asked. Mona, I don't know what I want. Aunt Phoebe, yes you do. You're just afraid to admit it. Mona set her phone down and lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Outside, Madrid was alive. Voices and music and the sound of a city that never fully slept. Inside, Mona felt like she was suffocating. She thought about Kyle's face in the lobby, the raw honesty in his voice when he'd said he loved her, the way he'd looked at her like she was precious instead of practical. She thought about TJ's offer, the safety of it, the simplicity. She thought about the girls, about Aunt Phoebe, about the life she'd built from nothing. And she thought about what Aunt Phoebe had said. What if the bigger risk is never trying? Her phone rang. Kyle. Her heart hammered as she answered. Hello? Hey. His voice was careful. Sorry to bother you. Just wanted to confirm tomorrow's call time. 6 a.m., hair and makeup by 7. Got it. You okay? Why wouldn't I be? You sound, I don't know, off. I'm fine. Mona. Kyle, please, don't. Don't what? Don't be nice to me right now. It's easier when you're distant. Silence on the other end. Then, you want me to be distant? No. The word came out before she could stop it. But I need you to be. Why? Because TJ asked me to be his girlfriend. More silence. She heard him breathe, slow and controlled. What did you say? He asked finally. I said I'd think about it. And I'm thinking about it. Are you? His voice had changed, harder now. Or are you just convincing yourself it's what you should want? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Mona. I told you how I felt. You told me you couldn't risk it. And now TJ's offering you something safe and easy and exactly what you think you deserve. You don't know what I think I deserve. Don't I? You think you deserve whatever keeps everyone else happy and stable. You think you deserve whatever doesn't rock the boat. You think you deserve less because you've convinced yourself that's all there is. Kyle. But here's the thing, Mona. You don't deserve less. You deserve someone who makes you feel alive. Someone who sees you, really sees you, and still can't look away. Someone who knows you're not easy or simple or background noise. You're complicated and brilliant and so damn beautiful it hurts. Her eyes burned. Stop. Why? Because I can't. Her voice broke. Kyle, I can't do this. Can't or won't. Does it matter? Yeah, it does. She heard him move, heard a door close. Because if you can't, then I'll step back and give you space and pretend my heart isn't breaking. But if you won't, then that's a choice. And you need to own it. She was crying now, silent tears sliding down her cheeks. I have to go, she whispered. Mona. She hung up, and then she cried until her chest ached, and her eyes were swollen, and there was nothing left inside her. Outside, Madrid sparkled. Inside, Mona felt like she was breaking apart. But maybe, she thought as exhaustion finally pulled her under, maybe breaking apart was the only way. To put yourself back together. We have reached the end of part 1. I'm sure if Mona knew what would happen next, she never would have gotten on that plane. Find out what happens from here. Continue with part 2 of Madrid Was Supposed to Be Work. Then everything fell apart. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, and subscribe for more Vailed Pen stories. Thanks for listening.